feeling a little uncomfortable being on camera or a little unsafe, you're not alone. That's a common thing. And that's what we're going to talk about on today's episode of Real Estate Marketing and Coffee. Welcome to the show. My name is Ed Troxell. I'm a video coach helping real estate agents and entrepreneurs use their phone to create video content that gets them noticed and creates more bookings. And I'm joined by my lovely co-host, Amanda.
Yeah. Hey, guys. I'm Amanda Condyles. I'm the Director of Client Care at Closer Pros, and I help real estate agents get that repeat and referral business by leveraging their sphere of influence and their past client list. So,
yes. And so we go live every Monday at 8 a.m. right here, Pacific, I should say, 8 a.m. Pacific, right here on Facebook, LinkedIn, and we repurpose this over to our podcast and, of course, other places online, because why work harder than you have to when you can just create one video and be able to repurpose that in different formats, which we can always talk about if you need help. So today we're excited because we're going to be bringing on in just a moment our special guest who is going to help us talk about this uncomfortable conversation that a lot of us can face when we're talking about being on camera, being on video, and just being able to get more comfortable with who we are and what we do, so that we can show up and shine here online. So let's go ahead and bring on our special guest this morning. Jennifer, welcome to the show.
Hi, I'm so excited to be here.
Yes, we are so happy to have you. Go ahead and introduce yourself to all of our listeners.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jennifer Urezzio. I created a paradigm called Soul Language, which is the Myers-Briggs of Soul. And I help people put consciousness into everything they do. Why do you want to do that? Well, if you're putting pain in programming, you're going to create struggle. If you put consciousness, it's going to expand and you're going to get goodness back. So I'm excited to be here. Thank you so much.
Yes, you're going to get goodness back. I know.
I was just thinking there's already a nugget in that, and she's just telling us what she does. That's so great.
Yes, that is awesome. So let's start jumping into this conversation about being unsafe, feeling unsafe on camera. What have you experienced even with working with your clients around this topic?
Yeah. So I think people normally feel unsafe on camera for a couple of reasons. One second, as I'm coughing. Dog hair. I think it's because of trauma, right? When people experience trauma, whether it's a little tiny trauma or big trauma, the instinct is to go very small, very fade into the background, right? And so when people have to put themselves out there, all of that trauma that's unhealed comes up and they start to constrict and they feel unsafe being seen and being heard. And so that is one of the main reasons why people feel really unsafe on camera. Another reason is because they probably have a feeling of being a fraud or being called out or feeling rejected. All of those reasons are going to bring up those feelings of lack that come across on the camera.
That is so true. And that's something that I run into a lot, with my clients as well, is the feeling of getting called out for not knowing or not saying properly, something that, even though they're an expert in that field and they know what they're talking about, just the thought of putting themselves out there and having someone say, well, you didn't say that correctly, or it's not 100% that way. And that can be very, very traumatizing and damaging for any future on-camera appearances as well.
Yeah, the problem is that we've all said things that are not accurate, or where we flubbed, or, where we got tongue-tied. And they usually happen in childhood. And that kind of experience is so anxiety-ridden that it adds to any flub, right? I think, I have warrior energy. And one of the hardest things that I've had to learn is how to laugh at myself, right? And really, I think that's key when it comes to kind of building that relationship, is really to kind of, I totally screwed up there. What? I often, my first career was marketing and PR, right? So I have that lens of making people kind of understand and be good on camera. And I think I told you this story. I remember this woman that we did we booked her interviews, and it was in a local town, and she was out by herself, and we get the tape back, and her hair looked like a cockatoo. I cannot explain. And we were just like, I'm like, I can't listen to anything she's saying because I can just focus on the hair. Right. And I think about that. I also think about how I hate to put on, although I have it on today, I hate to put on lipstick. I hate doing the whole camera ready stuff. Right. So I've kind of made it part of my brand. Like, I call it Hobo Chic. I'm like, look, guys, I'm doing Hobo Chic again. Right. This is the thing. If you're trying to be perfect, no one's going to want to engage with you. No one's going to want a relationship. That's too much pressure. People are going to go or sense it even on a deep level, like, oh, there's something not right there. But if you're just being yourself, right, and being willing to be profoundly loved, people want to engage with you. People want to create that kind of back and forth with you. And they're going to love you. They're going to love more of you. And let's be honest. Those people that are going, you said it wrong, and blah, blah, blah. They're insecure. Yeah. They have problems of their own. And with all due respect, you can tell them to step off, right? Do it with love, but still. So I think that it's first activating that safety in your body, which is simply body, fill me with safety. And it's also healing all of those traumas and then creating the brand that really works with you. Again, I finally had to throw out the sweater for my Hobo Chic during the pandemic because my boyfriend said, please throw it away. There's holes everywhere. I go, yeah, but I love it, right? Yeah. And people know that. So, determine your brand, heal the trauma, and then activate safety and have fun with it. This is not life and death.
Yes, thank you. I love that. I love the Hobo Chic thing. I love that you're playing into it because I think so often, like, people are so afraid to show those things, but it's what makes them them, right? Like, and show it off, like, rock it, be authentically you. And you're exactly right. People will make that a part of your brand. It will become probably more often than not the best part of you, right? Like, they'll start to look for that, like, oh, she's doing Hobo Chic today. Like, it'll become a common language between you guys.
Exactly. And you know what? Like, really tune in and really speak from your heart, because when you're speaking from your heart, it doesn't matter what you're talking about, but when you're speaking from your heart, people engage with that. People know that. People, you could be saying, sliced bread, and people are like, wow, she really gets me, right? This is the point about really allowing your heart to be shown on camera. For those of us that wear our hearts on our sleeve, the camera's a good place for it, right? Yeah. And I also think that one of the things that makes people feel unsafe is when they watch the videos back, right? And they're like, oh, look at me. Why? Like, I'm so bad, right? Here's the thing that I used to tell all of my PR people. The camera lowers your energy, right? Just coming across. So you have to be like, I always like to use Richard Simmons, right? Because I used to work with him. So if I don't talk about Richard Simmons once a day, I feel like I'm not doing my job. But
so you've checked it off on Monday morning. You're doing great.
I'm doing great, right? So you have to up it. You have to be like the Richard. Now Richard went overboard, but you have to up your energy. And I think people don't really understand that. And so when they see the footage back, they're like, I'm so again, right? Up your energy, be the best possible way, psych yourself up, listen to music. This is supposed to be fun. Make it fun for yourself.
Well, I heard it said once, and this has always really resonated with me about nerves, is I heard it said, like, when you're scared, like, let's say someone broke into my house and I'm trying to scare them off, like, internally I might be trying to say, like, no, stop it, get out, or whatever. But because of nerves, I'm probably like, no, stop. Like, I'm nervous. And so they tell you to go 3 times crazier than you think. And when I think about that in the moment, if I'm like, okay, what would 3 times crazier than, like, no, stop it be? Like, I don't know, but it's probably going to come across very, like,
crazy,
exactly as I intend it to, or a lot more than I intend it to. And so that's a great point about energy and video and camera, because listen, we're all going to rewatch it. So I think to say not to rewatch it is not the answer, right? Because it's good. It's great feedback. You get to live time, see, hey, what does my audience feel in this? But also recognize that, like, hey, if you come at it 3 times, like, people are going to feel that it's going to come across the screen. And the people that don't feel that will just keep scrolling.
Right.
Like on a Monday morning, if I'm too much energy for someone and they pop on our show and they're like, whoa, Amanda and Ed are yelling at me, they're going to keep scrolling. They're not going to engage. So really you're attracting more people at a higher level and getting rid of the ones who are probably going to be hypercritical anyways.
Right. You want to talk to your fan base. You don't want to talk to the critics. And that's an internal thing as well. You want to talk or look through the lens of your internal fans versus your internal critic. And, I think so often people want to have, the exact thing to say. There are great tools. There are great apps. There's a lot of teleprompter apps now that really work. I always bomb when I have to use a teleprompter because I'm like scripted. I'm so better when I'm like off script. But the thing that also people have to understand is that when they tune in, they know their content. Yes. And so often after I do an interview, somebody go, oh my God, I heard you say this. And I go, oh, I did. Because I am really just talking from being tuned in, and I'm not trying to have the conversation in my head. And I think so often that's the way people engage across the board. And so really understand what you want your time on the camera to be and understand what the point is, right? Exactly. If your energy is like, oh my God, please like me. Well, that's going to come across on the camera and everyone's going to tune it off. And really notice also what your body's doing, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
That gives you a lot of tells as well.
Absolutely. So well, and I love what you're talking about, the insecurity piece, because I think that happens so often. And then people, it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. They're like, nobody wants to listen to me online. They show up insecure. It comes across where it's like, please follow me, please. I even think the same thing in sales. Like when you really need a sale, it shows up in all of your communication. So don't ever feel like you need it. Just show up and be a resource, and the rest kind of naturally falls in place. But it becomes that self-fulfilling prophecy, because then people think the very thing they're trying to avoid them thinking.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's the why, like when I used to even work at Apple, I would always tell people, don't worry about the sale today. Worry about growing and establishing and growing the relationship, because that's what's going to continue to bring in the sales later. Like, don't worry about it now. Worry about growing that relationship, because then you're going to have that repeat business. And it's same even to this day. Like if you stop focusing so much on getting the sale and start focusing on showing up, delivering your expertise, and being unique as you are, and being able to find that one thing that works. Like we've talked about this before, like what feels comfortable for you. If it's the Hobo chic, that's a whole line right there. Like that's a whole line. And so many women would be like, yes, that is cool. And they're going to be like, tell me more, Jennifer, how do I find out about Hobo chic? Where's this at? Like, what's this? Like, probably
they're going to self-identify. Like, I love it when people on Zoom talk about wearing just a nice top. I'm like, that is me. I will always have a nice top on, and I'm wearing like Nike shorts or leggings under, like, and I love it because I identify with it. I'm like, this is real life. You look great on camera. No one knows, but you're just rocking pajama pants below there. And it's relatable. It's real. It's authentic.
Yeah. My people are spiritual renegades. They're not going to do it like anyone else does it. And so we're always kind of breaking the rules and breaking the norms. The thing here is that you have to really understand on my PR hat, what are your key message points, right? And bring those into the conversation. And I think so often what happens with people is that they know that they're an expert. And when they're engaging with their clients, they're right there. But when they have to talk about themselves, their tongue just goes numb, right? And so really understand what your key message points. Like mine's about connection. I'm always going to be bringing people back about connection. So you can guys ask me what I had for breakfast, and I'll be like, well, When I have for breakfast is, well, first I did my meditation, which helps me connect. And then I go like, I can do the bridge back because, I was taught from it since, I've been speaking since I've been 21. What I love to do with clients is to interview them and watch them go to deer in a headlight. And then during the interview, we help them connect and really do the interview from that connection place. And they're like, oh my God, that was so easy. I'm like, yeah, because you're not in your head. So again, when you feel unsafe, you need to come back into your heart. Your head is never going to help you there. It's your heart and your soul that is.
Oh,
That's so good.
that is so good. And it's so important too. You bring up the meditation part, and I just want to touch on that for a second, because that's something that I think I'm in week 3 or 4 of doing meditation, which is something really new for me, and being able to try to focus on that. And this week we're talking about, in my meditation thing, we're talking about awareness. And it's so key because I was actually just talking about this on a live last week. And so it helped me not only in personal life, but business life, and being able to understand, taking those moments and being able to center back on my breathing. And it's just been really fascinating to learn how to use it in my everyday life and be able to apply it to business things as well.
Yeah, the way you do one thing is the way you do everything, right?
Yeah.
I have to tell you, I'm not a big meditator. I am a warrior energy. So warrior energy needs to move, right?
Yeah.
So I will tune in, I'll ask a question, and then I'll go walk the dog. And I'll be like, oh, there's the answer. There's the solution. I think so often people are focusing on the problem when they've got to be in the consciousness of the solution. The solution is right there. And when they tune in, when they pause, when they, let go of the pain point, what happens is that pop in your head of going, oh my God, it was right there all along. Yeah. It's really about, where are you coming from? Are you coming from like you're comparing yourself to all the videos out there? How's that serving you, by the way? And what do you want What do you want the videos to do? Really seriously. And are you engaged with that, kind of in a relationship with that mind, body, and spirit? Because if you're holding yourself back if you're in resistance, it's gonna come across, and you're just gonna get yourself even more frustrated and even more resistance.
That's a really great point that I'd never thought about, because this really applies to every area of communication, right? If you're sending email marketing or whatever, like I'm even thinking of real estate agents in this, like not being afraid to hold any part of them back, because when they have that hesitation, God, that's really, really good.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
I'm just like, my wheels are spinning now. I'm like, this is good. Okay.
When I first started, I had a bunch of real estate agencies.
Yeah.
Like 10 years ago, because one person worked with me and then she recommended. And, what happens with real estate agents is, traditionally they have a bad rap, right?
Yeah.
So traditionally there is a belief system that surrounds their profession that they have to overcome to begin with.
Absolutely.
And I think that alone can put the damper on the interview, because they're like, how do I not come across like everyone else? How do I not seem salesy? How do I not, like, you're in a job of selling. Like, let's just put our cards on the table.
Yep.
Like you want your house sold. I'm in the job of selling. I can do that in alignment and in integrity. And I think that's like the stance that people can adapt. And there are people who want the salesy technique. They want the shark. Like, if that's who you are, adapt it, love it, accept it. Right.
So it's totally, it makes me think of Shark Tank. Like Kevin, for those who watch Shark Tank, like Kevin, Mr. Wonderful, is exactly that. He is bitey. He is a shark. He is, and you
love to hate him.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. And then you've got like the Barbara Corcorans and the Roberts and the Barbaras who have a little bit more heart behind them, but they're doing it, like you said, with that alignment and integrity to them. And I think that's what makes it not feel salesy ever. Like, it never feels salesy to me with Kevin. I'm like, he is like I said, he is a shark to the T, and it doesn't feel salesy because it's 1,000% who he is. And he's staying true to that. And you're right. I think people like real estate and MLM and all of that, they spend the entire time creating content or videos or whatever, anytime they're in front of people, trying not to be something rather than trying to be something.
Right. And you know, especially with MLMs, there, unfortunately, that's a whole, you really want expansion and growth, join an MLM because all of your crap will hit the fan because it's such a codependent, weird relationship, kind of icky, and it's taught. So, you know, if you're in that and you want to be different and you want to make a difference, right? Really decide why you're in it and who your people are and why are they going to be in it, and you know, allow that to come shining through. And I think that takes a little prep time, that takes a little inner reflection, and what I love, and honesty, right? What I love about you know, the spontaneity of using your phone is like, I can use my phone to capture, right? But you have to be inspired, and so really connect to that inspiration. I did one last week, which was like, I'm breaking up with my business. I'm just breaking up with it for the weekend, everyone. I'm tired of my business. I'm just going to break up. We're on a break. And then I'll come back on Monday, and just so I can regroup, because so often we're consumed by our business, especially entrepreneurs 24/7. I'm like, I'm just going to and break up. And like Monday, I had a new client because I just broke up with my business. Like I wasn't going to focus on it or put any ickiness into it. And, you know, that was totally spontaneous. And it was a great thing. And people were like, oh my God, you're glowing. And I was like, really? Because I'm still like, right.
Well, it's that awareness factor, and also being able to take the time off, to take the break, to get that remove yourself from whatever problem may or may not be going on in the business, to allow yourself to welcome in those solutions and to be able to see clearly. I mean, that's what I love about being able to give ourselves that permission to take the break. And your weekend may look different than other people's weekends, right? Like yours might be an actual Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Others might be a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Like that's the thing I want everyone to realize, is that our journeys are going to look a little different, and our days off are going to look different. They don't always have to be what a traditional weekend is or a traditional work week is. And it's okay when we do have different routes that we're taking.
Yeah. And you're tweaking something in my head. I think often, you know, people don't realize that their video is there to help them pre-select their client. Right. You know, right. It's like, hey, I'm a spiritual renegade. You're going to spiritual renegade. You're great. You know, I teach this hack for my clients about how to choose their clients. Yes, them choosing clients. And I use the Peanuts characters, right? I'm like, my Peanuts characters are Sally's and Linus's. Love them. I don't work with a Charlie Brown because it's victim energy and I would eat them for breakfast, right? You know, I don't work with Woodstocks because they're crazy. And I used to work with Lucy's. What happens with a Lucy? They pull the football. I knew that they were going to pull the football, and I would still work with them. And then I'm like, I'm not going to work with Lucy. What am I doing? Like, that's crazy. Yeah. And I just tell people, like, tune in as a client comes across and go, okay, is this someone I want to work with? And especially for real estate agents, if you self-identify that kind of class, then you know how to kind of treat them. You know where the pitfalls are, and you can bypass it. But your video is also about you having people self-identify, so you don't have to deal with the Woodstocks or the Lucys.
And that's
so good.
Yeah, that's like, I love that you bring that up, because when we look at the statistics out there, over 95%, and because of the pandemic, I just rounded up to 99% because
you can. Because you can.
Because
you're the expert.
It's your show.
Yeah. 99% of us are researching online for a business before we ever contact them. So of course it makes sense to have video content out there showing who you are and the energy that we talked about earlier, and the passion that comes through, and the how you carry yourself in conversation, and how things happen, that's how your clients are going to be able to identify whether or not they want to reach out to you, and whether or not they even want to consider working with you. If watching this show and even listening to it, but just watching this, you could see how all three of us are interacting. And then you can see how we're allowing each other to speak versus trying to just, oh no, you can't do that. Or, oh, fix this or do that. Like if we did that was normal for us, fine. But that would show our potential clients how it would be to work with us.
Well, if you guys did that, I would have graciously left already.
Right? Should have been man, my internet's not working any further.
Oh, the dog hit the,
I hate it when that happens.
Right. But here's the thing, it's also like, I'm a steel marshmallow, right? I'm hard on the outside, fluffy on the inside, right? And my people know that I'm a steel marshmallow. They know that I'm direct. They know that I'm compassionate and loving, but I see through everything, right? And that comes across on my videos. So someone who's not ready for that or not up for that is going to pass me by.
You are so right.
Right. And so I also have to know that I'm safe to express who I am, which takes deep acceptance for myself. Like it took me years to accept my steel marshmallowness. Like I don't try to be anything else. And I think if people are afraid of the camera, right? What are you really afraid about showing people who you are?
Yes.
Makes so much sense. I read this quote somewhere, Pinterest or something last night, and it made me think of what you're saying. It said something like, if something is for you, all you have to do is be you to get it. And then it made me think, if I'm trying to be someone else, then everything that is for me will never find me. And so I think that's just total thought right with what you're saying. That's kind of what the world is speaking to me. And I just think it's really cool. Like, it's a really good point that we get to be ourselves and we attract, law of attraction brings the right people, because we're going to want to work with the people, you like the Sallys oh, there goes my voice. The Sallys and Linus, is that who? Okay. Sallys and Linuses, and so you attract those people naturally because they're probably more open to your steel marshmallow. They want it. That's their preferred style. Like I would do the same thing. If I'm looking for a coach, I'm going to find someone who's direct, because I'm not interested in the fluff. I don't want that. I want, let's do the damn thing. But then I'm going to watch your video and be like, oh, she is, let's get down to business. Okay. Where do I sign up? And then the work is done, right? Like you don't even have to sell anymore because I've done it. I've essentially done the work. Well, you've done the work, but I've done the hard part where I'm like, oh, you don't even need to sell me. Don't give me your spiel. Just take all my money and I'll sign here.
And that's what happens. And that's the power of being able to step in front of the camera and record your videos, share them obviously online, because it helps you both personally on the inside as well as externally on the outside with your business, and being able to get those eyeballs on your content and understanding who you are, what you do, and why they might want to work with you. And then being able to, again, have that conversation and realizing that people aren't always going to be ready to buy the minute that they see your content. That may happen, but it takes time. And there's going to be people that have followed you for years, and then they're going to reach out and say, I'm ready. So we have to remember that it's them when they're ready, not us when we're ready. We just have to.
And that's about knowing that you're loved and supported and provided for no matter what. And I think that's where people kind of fall down and they go, oh my, like my goodness is not relying on anybody else. They're just resources, right? My source is source. And yes, I tell that to myself every day, right? Like that's okay to keep reminding yourself.
So true. So true. I know we're getting close here, so I just want to make sure we cover everything that you wanted to cover today, Jennifer, and anything else that you want to share with our audience while we have you.
No, I mean, I love talking with you guys. Thank you so much. People can find me at my website at soullanguage.us. There's a lot of groovy stuff on there, including lots of free stuff. So if you're feeling the need, reach out.
I love it. And if you need her Hobo Chic line, it will be airing next year,
I
2023.
would love that.
You heard it here first. You heard it here first.
God, I would love that. From your mouth to God's ears.
Yes,
There you
I'm
go.
putting it
I
out
think you should have
there.
like a whole lipstick line. Like I'm seeing a whole.
It would be so good.
It would be
Yes.
so good.
Which, by the way, you got to love TikTok. Okay. So on TikTok, there's a comedian that I follow, and she had went to somewhere in New York. There's a place where you can go to create your own lipstick.
Lipstick, I've gone. Yeah.
Yes. And I was thinking that is so cool to have a store that allows you to do something custom like that. And that's where you can create your Hobo Chic.
I love it.
Line.
There's a bee in my apartment, and the dog is.
My dog.
This is my day.
Yeah, my dog will go and eat the bees, and then I'm like, then you're going to get an allergic reaction, and then we got to go take care of that. So please, just leave the bee alone.
Just don't eat the bees.
Yeah,
Moral of the story.
That's my hopefulness.
Yes.
It was a pleasure talking to you guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your day, Jennifer, and we will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. We appreciate it. And if you have any questions, feel free to drop them down below. And if you need to reach out to any of us, Jennifer, Amanda, or myself, well, please don't hesitate. We, as you can see, we love to chat and be able to connect with you and provide you with the right resources. Yeah. So don't hesitate. Reach out anytime. And until next week, we will see you back here next Monday at 8 a.m. And until then, enjoy the rest of your week and take care.